Welcome back to another 5-minute 40k rep.
I'm still here.
It seems that somewhere out there, either Sigurok or Zinch decided that it was always going to be either Slanesh, or the Dark Inn, in this particular report.
Filth!
I'm breaking out the Craftworlds again, and using a similar list to last time, but with a couple of tweaks. Essentially I swapped the Wraithlord and Scorpions out for Baharoth and some Warp Spiders. Let's take a look at the rosters, then we'll start the timer. So, we're playing Secure Missing Artifacts, and for secondaries I take Engage, Assassinate, and R&D, while Drukhari take the same but swap out Engage for Herd the Prey. Here's deployment. I know, the buildings don't match up with the rows on the map.
I don't care.
I'm deployed with most things behind obscuring terrain. The avatar is at the front of my deployment zone, ready to storm forwards. I make use of my advanced deploying units, with a unit of Rangers here and here, and Karandras right up in the enemy's grill. The Warp Spiders and Howling Banshees are in deep strike. Dark Eldar deployment. 2 Raiders on the left, partially exposed, and 3 on the right, all loaded with witches and characters. The Cabalites are on the leftmost building, and the Trueborn behind the central ruins. There's a 5-strong unit of Cabalites in deep strike, too. I get the first turn. I move the fire prisms so that one of them, which is difficult to see because of the ruins, can fire at the leftmost raiders, and the other one is visible to it so can lend it its shots via the linked fire stratagem. The Hemlock also moves to target the same raiders.
You want to shoot it all? Let's shoot it all.
Most of my other stuff, except the avatar, hangs back. The top left Rangers R&D. In Psychic all that really happens is I realize I forgot to actually move the Shining Spears onto the nearby objective, so I quicken them onto it. Shooting sees 1 raider destroyed by the fire prisms, while the Hemlock does 6 wounds to the other. 4 frickin' witches die in the wreckage, too.
You're all going to hell. Goodbye.
Karandras then charges the Trueborn and murders 8 of them. The remaining 2 get saved with the insane bravery strat. Drukhari turn 1, and 3 of the raiders move down to the bottom, able to fire their pistols at the rangers down here. They do manage to wipe them out. Incidentally, this objective is their priority objective, and mine is the one with my Shining Spears and Viper on it. The 1 raider up here hides behind the ruins, the infantry just stay on the building, the Trueborn run onto the central objective, and the raiderless witches run back and R&D in his quarter, which my opponent represents with the floating spheres of blood.
Real, hearty, rustic, wholesome
Drukhari.
food.
One of the succubuses squares up to Karandras. Shooting's pretty poor. He does kill the Hemlock, but whiffs against everything else, and only does 1 wound to Karandras.
This is huge!
The end result is that the succubus then charges in, does the maximum 3 wounds to Karandras, and then gets slain in return. My turn 2 movement. The prisms gear up for another volley, and I start sending some units forward. The swooping hawks stay back to R&D. The Warp Spiders deep strike into the bottom right corner, in range of the raiders here and scoring Engage as well. Psychic's pretty uneventful, and my Farseer gets quickened back to safety. In shooting, both these raiders get popped, one by the linked fire prisms and the other by the Warp Spiders.
Bingo.
The spears then mow down 8 witches from one of the units with their shooting, and charge the other unit, but only kill about half, and lose 2 guys in return. Up here, the avatar accidentally deletes the raider with his Melta sword in shooting, as I forgot it was already wounded. It explodes, doing 3 mortal wounds to him.
How dare you!
This then leaves him needing a 10-inch charge to reach the disembarked unit. And he makes it, even without a fate dice.
Yeah!
He leaves just 2 of the squad left alive, although he does suffer 4 more wounds in return. Oh, and what about my main man Karandras? Well, He just saunters across to the building over here, and deletes a 10-man squad on his own. Drukhari turn 2. Drazar is alive and well and heading towards my home objective, where Baharoth is still chillin' because I forgot to redeploy him last turn.
Don't you dare cut me any slack, okay? I'm out of line.
In the center, tons of witches prepare to descend on the Avatar. In the bottom right, the second succubus heads for the spiders. The Archon prepares to take on Karandras, and 5 guys deep strike down here to R&D. Shooting's just a shit show for Drukhari. I think about one shot goes through onto the Viper, and I save it with the Fate's Eyes. He pours a lot into Karandras but the Raging Phoenix Lord survives on 1 wound. In combat, he goes with Drazar first, who dutifully strips 3 wounds off Baharoth. I then interrupt with Karandras, who does 6 mortal wounds, bypassing the Archon's 2+ invulnerable, and slaying him outright.
Report that to
Vect.
mate.
The witches in the center fail an easy charge into the Avatar, but the ones already there are still able to slay him on their own. What? The succubus completely mullers the spiders? The spears finish off 1 unit of witches, thanks to the Paragon Saber's mortal wounds? And finally, Baharoth strikes back, does a wound or 2 to Drazar, then fucks off to the other side of the board.
Fuck this shit, I'm out.
My turn 3, and oh, we've run out of time. Damn it. I went into a tad too much detail earlier, but I ain't going back and trimming all that shit, though. If you stayed this long you'll probably cut me some slack this one time, right?
I miscalculated.
So I deep strike my banshees over here, and they end up charging the succubus and easily mullering her. Between the swooping hawks, who swoop forwards for the first time, and the fire prisms, I destroy all the witches on the central objective, and most of the little R&D squad in my quarter. The hawks then relocate to the top right corner, to score me 3 for engage. I manage to get 3d3 mortal wounds onto Drazar, but roll a 1 every time, leaving him with 1 wound left. Fortunately, the rangers in the top left corner have line of sight on him, and they take his last wound. Over here Baharoth and Karandras between them pick up the last squad of Cabalites on this building, and the Shining Spear's Exarch is finally triumphant against the last of the witches down here. We quickly play out Dark Eldar turn 3 just to finish out the battle round, although they're quite far behind and get no primaries this turn. These last 2 witches actually managed to kill Karandras with, I believe, their pistols. The raider rams into the Shining Spear Exarch and impales him, and I stupidly forgot about the unit of witches that was up here, so when I redeployed Baharoth after fighting last turn, he was close enough to be pounced on and torn to shreds by them. Oops, it's all a bit academic, though, as Dark Eldar can't come back and will likely be completely destroyed next turn, so we call the game there with a Craftworld victory. A quick look at how the scores look at the end of turn 3. Craftworlds are on 59, while Dark Eldar have 41. They were let down by the primaries and by Herd the Prey. Firstly, I should say that my rolls were pretty hot all throughout the game, whereas my opponent had almost no good luck. It really made it so much more difficult for the Darkkin to mount an effective comeback, when they just couldn't ever catch a break. The Drukhari list, whilst scary on paper, did seem like it would really struggle with my army, unfortunately. I have to say that the ragtag unit of witches punking the Avatar was still pretty scary, though. I'm really enjoying Craftworlds so far. They feel like they have all the flexibility and variety I want in an army. I just need to get more painted up so I'm not forced to use the Avatar. Well, that's enough rambling for one day. Thanks to my opponent, thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed it, please consider liking, commenting, subscribing, and all that shiz.